Hello, hello, and welcome to Digital Marketing This Week. It is episode number 42, a marketer's guide to Mobilegeddon. What a great name. I love these Geddons. This is brought to you by SeriouslySimpleMarketing.com. Of course, my name is Chris Mercer. I am all about analytics and optimization. Of course, the content developer for SSM, so do a lot of the blog posts there over at Seriously Simple Marketing, and the host of DMTW. We use acronyms a lot, but DMTW, of course, is Digital Marketing This Week. And yeah, just go by Mercer. So feel free if you ever meet me at a conference out and about, or just want to get my attention, chat me up, whatever, Mercer's how it is. Okay, so this, of course, right, Digital Marketing This Week, we have this little insider section. So I want to make sure that if you are listening to this on a podcast, or on a pre-recorded YouTube video or something along those lines, that you take a moment to go over to SeriouslySimpleMarketing.com and join our Insiders Club. So now the Insiders Club gives you access to the after show Q&A that we do, also gives you access to the complete recordings, including that Q&A. So your goal from today, of course, just to get one idea, act on that one idea, and then repeat the process. There's a lot of stuff with mobile SEO and mobile sites in general. There's lots of different things that you can do, right? I'm going to share with you a few different tools you can use. I'm going to share with you some articles you can take a look at because you may not know any of this is going on. So, maybe this is just an awareness thing where you just sort of realize this happened, and you can check some stuff out on your sites. But don't get too overwhelmed on all these different have-to-dos or next steps. It's all about just simplifying the process, picking one thing that you hear today, and then taking action on that one thing. And then you go back, watch the replay later, and then you can take action on the next idea. Now, why should you care about this whole thing? Well, because today you're going to get an understanding of Google's latest change. Now, this was big, right? Very, very big change in the SEO world. And we're going to give you some steps you can take to protect your ranking. Make sure that if you did get hit by this, that it's repaired or that you can recover as quickly as possible. And ideally, you benefited from this. So we'll see. And obviously, we'll show you a few things more. This is a cool little graphic, the Marketer's Guide to Mobilegeddon. This is what this site in particular, Search Engine Land, is calling. That's sort of what they deemed it, Mobilegeddon. So everything is a Geddon nowadays. So this is Mobilegeddon. So if you want more information about anything I'm talking about here, I highly recommend Search Engine Land. They're great. MOZ, which is Moz.com. They actually also did some great posts on this. If you just Google for this topic, you'll find a ton of incredible posts. I'm going to share with you one of them from Search Engine Land that I found particularly helpful, so as a primer for this. So, but yeah, really good graphics. So what's the fuss all about, right? Why do we care about this whole thing? Well, here's why. This change is bigger than Panda and Penguin. And Panda and Penguin were those big, big changes that happened years ago where everybody was just flipping out because their rankings were dropping and all the backlink stuff they were doing, wasn't working anymore, and on and on and on, right? So Panda and Penguin were huge, massive, market-moving SEO ranking things that people need to pay attention to. But this one is actually bigger than Panda and Penguin. In fact, this one is right now focused just on mobile, and it's, I believe, the biggest change to mobile rankings ever that Google's ever done. And there's lots of different theories because Google doesn't necessarily come out and say, oh, here's exactly what we're doing. They just sort of tell you the results, right? So we need to make sure to have this mobile friendly or whatever, right? And they're really targeting just mobile traffic. So just people that are shopping on their smartphones, right? Or searching, I should say, on their smartphones. That's all it is. We will cover some questions about this a little later so that you can get an idea if there's anything that you necessarily need to do. But basically, what Google's looking for are sites that are zoom free, right? We don't have to like pinch and zoom, kind of the old school sites where you had to pinch and zoom. They want something that's mobile ready, right? Which means large buttons. They're looking for this. How big are the buttons? Are they tiny little buttons? You got to pitch and zoom, right, to actually get an action. They are measuring all of that. They can tell if your site needs to do that. If your site needs to do that, you will not be mobile friendly or not considered mobile friendly. And if you're not considered mobile friendly, you will dramatically drop in the rankings, right, for that particular page. So this basically means you've got to move. If you have not already, if you've been putting it off, you've got to move to a mobile or a responsive design. So very, very important. And again, if you haven't sort of been aware of this, right, this has been going on for a little while. They gave warning. Like Google said this back in, I want to say it was December, that they talked about this. And then they, through February and March, people did a bunch of articles in March. A lot more came out in April, and then a whole bunch are coming out now because now the change is actually out and people can see kind of what's happening, right? How badly rankings are falling. And it is a big change. So what what do you need to do, right? First, you need to check and see if you're ready. So let's go through, and I'm going to show you some tools. We're going to do a little live demo of these. And for those who are insiders, I'll send out links to these as well. You can just grab them from the slides. I'll slide share when we post them there. But what we're going to do is I want to go through and we're actually going to do a demonstration, right? So we're going to do an actual demonstration of the web tool that Google has created so that you can actually check to see if you're ready. So this is as close as you're going to be able to get to this. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this up here. Now this is an article we're going to cover a little later. So I want to go here. This is where this link goes, right? That link that was just on the slide, this is where it goes, mobile friendly test. So they've created this. If you're not sure how Google's going to rank you on this, this is what you use. And you don't really have to do this on every single page unless your pages are built in sort of like with WordPress, for example, they're all sort of the same, right? So if you have a responsive theme, then your pages are responsive. But if you build your pages one at a time, and maybe some of them are responsive and some of them aren't, you want to check them here, especially the ones that get high traffic, specifically the ones that last month were getting a lot of traffic from mobile, and you can check that stuff in your Google Analytics. All right, so we're going to pull up, I'm just going to pull up a URL of a blog post that we have, and then we're going to put it here, right? So there's our mobile friendly test. We want to create a perfect SEO article. I want to see if this is considered mobile friendly. So I'm going to analyze. Google right now is sending a whole bunch of little robots to the page. They're analyzing it to see how it responds, all the different screen sizes, all the different possible mobile variations. Now remember, mobile is smartphone. Mobile is not tablet. So we'll cover that later. And bam, see, we are mobile friendly. So this particular page is mobile friendly, which means all of my blog posts are mobile friendly. And I just know because we use Optimized Press, which again is another reason we use Optimized Press as a theme, it's responsive. It automatically adjusts to mobile. So we already are good to go when it comes to our site. We don't have to worry about this. So we look good, right? Mobile friendly. This is what's important. Google does not say, oh, well, this and this and this part of your page are mobile friendly, but these pages aren't. It says you're either mobile friendly or you're not. If you're not mobile friendly, your rankings will drop. Your rankings will absolutely drop because Google, and here's why, Google's wanting the user who's on a smartphone searching for something. They want that user to stay on a smartphone. They want that user to have a really good experience with that smartphone. This specifically because they're using Google to search. So when somebody's on Google to search, they click on a site that is not mobile friendly, it's a bad user experience as far as Google is concerned. So they want to make sure that when the user is coming from a smartphone to a site that is mobile friendly, and if it's not, it will be buried in the search results. So you need to check and see if your pages are coming up with this not mobile friendly. If they are coming up not mobile friendly, you have some action to take. You've got to go through and again, either set up to move to a responsive theme if you're on a WordPress theme, or maybe you have to recode your pages for mobile only version, right? Something like that. But personally, I like the idea of responsive themes. I think they work really, really well. And again, a responsive theme is just something that adjusts itself to different size screens automatically, which if you use Optimized Press 2.0, you don't have to worry about because it already does. And a lot of themes will. So if your theme says it's responsive, then you should be covered, but it's good to check it just in case, as we did here. Now, if you have some issues, right? So this is Mobile SEO Guide that Google also put out. So, and this is the other tool that we'll go ahead and bring up here. So this next big giant URL is the common SEO mistakes that people make with mobile. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that back up so you can just take a look at it. Again, we'll have a link. But this is a really good guide on some common SEO mistakes. So if you need with your developer, if you're having problems with your mobile SEO rankings, and again, how do you tell if you even need to worry about this? Well, you go back to your Google Analytics, which you should all have, right? So you should have Google Analytics and you've got that all installed. You go back to your analytics and you can look it up by device type. And you can see how many people are on Android versus iOS devices, right? The iPhone versus all the different Androids that are out there. And you can actually see what your traffic is, even specifically on certain pages. So if you're wondering what your cart page is going to look like, or your product category page, if you're in e-commerce, you can go through and do that. You can use these two tools. So the friendly test will tell you if it's kind of mobile or not. And remember, it's not shades of gray. It's not like, oh, it's 20% mobile. It's, or a score of 8 out of 10. It's yes or no. It's with a binary, right? Yes or no. You're either mobile or you're not. If you're not mobile, the page will not show up well in search results on mobile phones. So if you are, however, it will or should. Now, this doesn't mean that just because you're mobile, you're going to rank. It means you got to be mobile. You got to do all the other SEO stuff, right? So the H1 tags, the headers, everything else we sort of talk about in a typical SEO article. So you got to make sure all that stuff's done, but you have to make sure it's mobily set up. This is the biggest change. If you're not mobile, you are in trouble. So the third thing I want to show you, and we'll end with this one, but it's a pretty big one. So I'll show it to you. And again, we'll send out a short link for everybody else who wants to see this. But The Search Engine Land article did a really good job of going through and seeing kind of what questions were out there, right? So I'm going to flip over to that. So this is the checklist, the Mobilegeddon checklist. And if you don't want to just search for this, you'll see this pop up, Mobilegeddon checklist. So this is where we obviously got the graphic. I told you it's a great place to check them out. Search Engine Land has done a really good job with this. Lots of links everywhere where they talked about all the different stuff, right? So let's go through and do a little Q&A. This came out actually on the 21st. I didn't mention that, but it did come out on April 21st. So just a little yesterday is the time of this recording anyway. The impact is only mobile searches, so not tablets, just mobile, just smartphone, not desktop. Very important, not desktop. I'm going to come through and I'm going to hit some of these heavy devices. So we talked about using that testing tool. Now Google is adjusting. The idea of this is that Google is actually adjusting how they do mobile search, right? And it's going to be totally different than how they do desktop search. So just because you're ranking really, really well on desktop does not mean you're going to rank on mobile. If you're not responsive. If you are ranking very, very poorly on mobile, you can still rank very, very highly on desktop. So those things are separate, right? So one does not necessarily affect the other because there's a lot of different things. The other thing is it is by pages, okay? So typical SEO rules still apply. You're not trying to rank your site. You're trying to rank the particular page of your site for a certain keyword phrase or keyword itself. And let's see, I'm trying to get through the biggest questions that were really good. Brand searches. So this is a good, if you have a brand that people typically search for, probably will not be impacted because it's very specific. It's a very unique brand. But I did see something where American Apparel, where somebody was doing a search, so American Apparel, big clothing store, somebody was doing a search for best apparel in America, right? Which has the words American and apparel, but because they are not mobile friendly, they were found on the bottom of page 2, which is just sort of a killer of traffic, right? So there doesn't, again, if somebody searched for American Apparel, pretty sure their site comes up. But things like best apparel in America, not anymore, right? So you want to check that sort of stuff out if that would affect you. Let's see, apps. So if you have apps, very important for a lot of reasons, the iOS, Android, whatever, but specifically with Android apps, you can actually put in things that where Google tracking is embedded in your apps, and it does an amazing job of crawling the app to make it SEO friendly. So that, and this is something that again started a couple months ago. So if you're an app developer, you probably already know about this, or if you have a developer, they probably already know about this. But to remind them, or maybe you need to update your app, apps will now show up in results in a mobile search, mobile only, right? Not desktop. But the concept is, hey, what's the weather in Austin? And maybe this app says, oh, the weather in Austin is such and such. Click here to download to get more detail. And now I can click on the search results and download the app. So really super cool idea there. And let's see, you don't need a separate mobile sitemap. So for those of you who are used to SEO and the sitemaps, if you use a plugin, this is very important. That's why we recommend plugins. I love plugins for this reason. Yoast has a really good plugin, which did have some security issues along with a lot of other top plugins last week. So make sure you're updating your plugins always. That's just a general rule. But Yoast has a WordPress SEO by Yoast is what the plugin is called. It does all of this stuff. So they've updated it. They wrote a really good blog post about how the results are changing. It is absolutely worth checking out WordPress SEO by Yoast, and it'll take care of all things like sitemaps, so you don't have to worry about them. And sitemap, all it really is just a listing of how your pages are all connected. That's all it is. So that the robots, when the Google bots come through and crawl your site to report back to Google what your site's all about, you basically meet them at the door and you say, hey, here's a map of what's all around. They don't have to try to guess. They just know. So we don't have to worry about a mobile sitemap because it's going to use the original one. So let's see, and then the big one. So if you don't go mobile friendly, do you get delisted? No. Although people are saying so, and they're saying, and then Search Engine Land, for those who are not familiar, is a incredibly reputable SEO or SEO oriented site. Everything about SEO, everything about Google search is on here, right? So this and Moz, so moz.com, Moz. Search Engine Land and Moz are really, really good. There's a bunch of other ones out there too, but these two are exceptional. And they are saying shady SEOs are out there saying, oh, you know, we're trying to sell SEO services. So if you don't go to get your site all fixed up for mobile, then you're going to get delisted by Google because you're not mobile friendly. So that's not the case. It will hurt you on mobile still. It will hurt, but it won't kill, right? So something to pay attention to. All right, I think that's pretty much. Let me see if there's any other questions I thought might be interesting to go over. You can always go over this on your own. I believe that is it. Again, they are saying it's going to impact more than 11% of search results. So that is going to be an issue for a lot of you. So just make sure that you check your URL. And that's it. So I would say, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you want to do some research on your own, this is the big point of this DMTW this week, was to let people know this was out there. Because a lot of people just, you know, we're out doing the business of business, and that doesn't necessarily mean tying ourselves into every possible SEO thing that's out there. So as a business owner, as a marketer, if you're not familiar with this change, again, just to sort of recap, Google has essentially changed the way that they do search engine results for smartphones, right? More and more smartphones are out every single day. This is a big deal. Don't underestimate this. This is a big deal. When you email people to go to your site or visit your site, most of those emails, I would bet, are checked on a smartphone, and a lot of those people end up on the version of your page that your smartphone's pushing out. So you want it to be responsive. You want it to be a mobile version for that reason alone, let alone for the fact that there's all sorts of signals that people can take on that page that could help you with SEO. And if that site is that, if your page, right, if your site is not mobile friendly, then you're just not going to rank. So you've got to make sure that you move past that and get that stuff done. Again, use the tool. So, all right, to recap, this is not a trick. This is not a magic bullet, right? Just because you go responsive doesn't mean that a page that didn't rank for the keyword all of a sudden will rank for the keyword. It might, but it's not a magic bullet. The key to mobile SEO is the same with all SEO. It's still to provide relevant content. This is why branded searches will still show up. And a branded search, again, is if you're just looking for a brand name. So if I was looking for American Apparel, the store, American Apparel will show up because Google understands that, hey, even though American Apparel site is not mobile friendly, it's still what the user is looking for. I'm going to recommend this page. I'm going to rank this page highly, right? Google understands that the user is looking for a certain thing. So relevancy is still what matters. How do you make things relevant? You do research on your keywords. You make sure you provide content, make sure that targets those keywords or answers the question, whatever it is you're trying to do. Make sure that it's specific in your H1 tags, right? The header, the title of the blog post is an H1 tag. And you make sure that you mention the keyword a couple times and put it in your sitemaps, and just basically use a plugin. If you use a plugin, it takes care of all of this stuff. You don't have to mess with it. It automatically happens in the background, and you're instructing the bots what the page is all about. Then, assuming you are mobile friendly, it's even better for you, right? But it's not the magic bullet. It won't make a bad page go good. It'll just make a great page even better. So that's what I think the takeaway from this whole thing is. So what was your one idea for this whole thing? Right? The fact that this even happened. A lot of people weren't even realized when I was talking about it. They had no idea this even happened. The tools that you can use. Many people that knew it happened had no idea. Google actually is doing their best to warn people about this. In fact, you may have even gotten a warning if you use Webmaster Tools, because Webmaster Tools about a month or so ago was saying things like, hey, we've sent our robots, our little robot spots through the site, and it's coming back not responsive, that there is no mobile version. You might need some adjustments here. You have to change this stuff, or we're not going to rank you. And the tools like checking the URL to see if it's even mobile responsive, right? Or was it maybe some of these next steps that you have to take, like finding a responsive theme, or maybe just running it through the tools, right, to see if it's responsive, or taking the SEO checklist. Whatever your sort of, aha, I need to take a look at this, just action brings results. So if you're not even aware this even happened, just take a moment to go through, check it out, do some research, check out some of your URLs, especially the important high traffic ones that are getting traffic from mobile already, right? So again, you search this out in Google Analytics, just do the device type, and then you can do the pages that device type is or pages that were visited by that device. That'll give you an idea of which pages people are seeing on mobile devices. Take some of those URLs, test them out in the URL tool, and then you'll know. Again, you're either going to get green or red. It's either yes or a no. There is no shades of gray, so it's yes or no. So that would be what I recommend. With that, we're about to come to a close and move into the insider section, where we can answer any questions about this or any other topic that you've got around marketing. If you are not yet a part of Insiders and you want to join, just go to SeriouslySimpleMarketing.com and you can sign up there. With that, I'll bring it to a close. Again, this has been episode number 42 of Digital Marketing This Week, a marketer's guide to Mobilegeddon. With that, thanks again for joining us this week. We will talk to y'all next week. Take care.